Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech Productions. Today I'm back being joined by both Jimmy and, like always, Fluff.
I'm like on cloud nine right now. I got told I had attractive hands, so I'm in a weird spot.
And I am also here, but definitely not on Cloud Nine.
Fair enough. With that being said, there's buttons below the screen. Feel free to click them. Alright, cool. You got it. Thank you. And with that being said, today's matchup is chilled. I finally brought it out. No one's played it yet, so I figured I would. And Fluff's brought back SS4 Vegeta. It's a different variation, but it's not what you. It's not the spirit boost one you had, the one before. It's kind of like similar to your original one with tweaks, right?
It very similar to my old ones. It's just a deck that I like playing, and like you said, no one had built Chilled before, but we've really built and showcased everything else from this set on the channel. So I figured I would just kind of go back and play something that I liked, and I was like, let's try to do something different. So I'm kind of playing with a twist.
And if there's a leader we haven't done, I think we got them all. I think we covered them all. But if we haven't, let us know.
Yeah, we might be missing like a promo leader or something.
So, we tested this matchup beforehand, and I knew going into either against a red deck or a blue deck will be a really hard matchup for me. And Jimmy was all like, "All right, guys, here's the matchups." And I was like, "Fuck you, man. Why?"
You were either going to play against blue or red. There was like no in between.
I get that, but
like it didn't matter who you got matched up with, because you got matched up with green, all your tokens were gone because dormant potential exists.
Well, I just want to say, in our first game, the first test match that we did, I milled 20 cards off the top of Bancroft's deck in a turn.
Yeah. And that's what I was afraid of this entire match. I'm like, okay, I gotta push as fast as possible. So I started the game off with the Migra, the one drop unison. I mean, it's good. And here I was explaining that, which I actually love this. It's a pseudo super combo for Chill. So Chill itself gives all his tokens, or the Chilled Army tokens, Chilled's Army. And so when you combo with the Kabira, just mispronounced that, but when you combo with it, you choose one of your Chilled Army cards, and you do one of two. Either it gains blocker till end of turn, or it gains 5,000 plus crit. So just combo with that alone, it's a 10k combo, and it gives the card crit right away, which is really great early on. And we had some slight issues with what happened there, right, Fluff?
Yeah, for some reason, maybe I wasn't paying attention the way that I should have, or something, but I thought that Bancroft put a Champa on it. And like, he obviously didn't throw a Champa down, but I was like, oh, okay, that's crit 2. So I crit the 2 cards off the top, and it was Trunks and a Hatchiyak. And Bancroft's like, what are you doing? That's only 1. I was like, oh yeah, crap. So I was like, here, shuffle these up, and then we'll randomly pick one, and that'll be the card that'll get crit off. And it ended up being Baby Hatch. So we knew the other card was Trunks, so I gave my life back to Bancroft for him to just shuffle my life, so the life would at least be randomized.
That's always the worst feeling, critting such a key card like Baby Hatch, especially in a matchup where there's so many battle cards going to be hitting the field. That Baby Hatch is just fantastic in a matchup like this, and losing it so early is demoralizing.
And honestly, like, I run Heroic Prospect, but Heroic Prospect doesn't do much against this deck because the tokens just get under it. So that's automatically neutered. And then I'm kind of looking at the idea of doing nothing on my turns and just passing. And I really think that might be like the key problem with this type of deck in the game right now, is if you're not able to actively be doing something on your turn and applying pressure, your opponent just builds and builds and builds until you can either blow it out or they just swallow you. So I'm not able to do much. Like you see there, I just put a Zeno out and play. He countered the attack. I'm not awakened, so I don't get the restand. So what I'm able to do there is very limited, which is the correct way to play against this leader.
Yeah. And that counter attack was really great because the Cooler's auto is when you play a green extra card. You tap 1 energy to play it. So, and the counter negate played a token. So for 2 energy, I'm playing 2 more cards to the field. And here, I swung at you leader first because I felt like you would be more likely to take it without using the super combo. Because I'm correct, Xeno is active with 5 life.
Zeno is active at 5 life, but I want to awaken. So there's no incentivification for me to use the Zeno there.
Yeah, and you mentioned in our game that you expected me to kill it with the -30, or were you just messing around?
No, I really was expecting you to kill it.
Okay.
Like, I was sitting there thinking, like, it feels like a waste for him to do it, but it keeps me off of replacing and restanding an energy for free. So there is something to be said for just killing that super combo.
Yeah, and which allowed me to go into the Frieza using the Dark Dragon Ball to ramp up to the Xeno Frieza, which is really fantastic. And Fluff, that was your idea.
Yeah, I love that engine. It's just you have to have a good engine that can support it. And I don't know that Chilled exactly supports it, but anything that can nearly freely combo or kill a card, without wasting a battle card swing to do so, that is green, that might be able to drop surprise attack Frieza, should consider those Xeno Friezas because they're a lot of pressure.
I dabbled with the Xeno Frieza stuff inside of the Set 9 Cell leader, the Surge leader.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic in there. And it's such a small footprint of a package that you can kind of tweak it into a deck if you have the space for it. But like Fluff said, I don't think Chilled is the best for it since not a lot of the Chilled cards support that particular package.
So we broke it down to a lot of the extra cards I play have the ability to KO cards, and my unisons as well have the ability to do it. And I think that's why we felt like it would be okay to add it into the deck.
Because I don't think any of the Chilled actual battle cards, do they have any KO on enter effects?
Nope.
No.
Not that I can recall off the top of my head.
The problem is that the use, quote unquote, useful Chilled package is not that large. It's not as large as the Garlic engine or other engines that may comprise a deck. So it had room to add something, and we were sitting there thinking, I was suggesting Maidens, run Maidens in this. I thought Maidens would have supported the Garlic stuff incredibly well. Or the Chilled stuff really well. But Banger was like, no, I kind of want to keep it on theme. So let's do
Frieza's Clan. It was the closest thing to it, keeping it
right.
theme-ish. So in the initial testing, I even added so in my energy you see is the 2-drop Chilled that resaves itself at the end of your turn, but has for 3 energy you play the 5-drop Chill on top of it. I did play it with that engine. We only actually have 2 of the set 2 5-drop yellow Chilled, which is the only target. I mean, there's a draft box 2? No, 1.
Draft box 1, yeah.
Target. But the set 2 one's better. It activate main, gives itself triple strike. The problem is that neither one of those cards have barrier, deflect. So if I'm tapping 3 energy to play the 5-drop and it gets counterplayed, I just wasted 3 energy, And to activate main, tap one of your Chilled army tokens to give it triple strike, if I'm correct. And okay, if my opponent negates, that's a waste. And I thought about making a blue-green version because there was the draft box 3. I think it was draft box 3, or it was EB1. Blue Chilled targets. But they cost 2 specified blue to play, and I was like, well, you can play them off the extra card, and if they get KO'd, then I can just play a token off them. And it gives me access to Sensu Bean. But I think we just ultimately I went towards the mono green route instead.
Yeah. Which is better. It's more consistent that way, I think. I think mixing it up, especially if you're trying to keep it quote unquote on theme, I don't really think that you can spare the inconsistency plus the weakness of the package, really.
And so during that turn, though, I did focus on Fluff's Unison. I was afraid of a board wipe, really. And it's a 9K, and I'm like, cool, I got a bunch of 10K, so let's just do this.
I've noticed that people have really learned that if they have a wide field and there's a unison out, their swings just go straight into the unison before they attempt to play anything. So trunks isn't a deal, or if it's in green, charismatic villain isn't a deal. And that was really kind of all night for me. Every time I put a unison out, and even recently in testing, I feel like I haven't been able to get a unison to stick for any significant amount of time. So kind of, I think that I'm going to stop building unisons for a while. Like, because every time I boarded a unison, it's like, okay, I just wasted 5 energy putting it out. Or I just wasted 3 energy putting it out. Because it just immediately died.
Well, it doesn't help that Zeno's a 9K unison that has the threat of either A, ramping, or B, board wiping. But I know, like, so Jimmy, someone had mentioned in one of your matchups with Mecha Kabora, they stated that they saw your profile and they were curious, like, no unisons. And if I recall correctly, you've mentioned in the past, if you could get away with it, you won't play a unison.
For me personally, like, most unisons in this game lack the value to setup ratio for me, where I prefer just to spend that energy on a battle card that, you know, I'm not going to have to worry about ticking up or losing out on a combo step in if my opponent attacks into it. And especially in decks like outside of blue and green, where they don't have a very strong free counter package, like Charismatic Villain or the God Sealing Technique Trunks, I don't see the value in those unisons as much as the other colors, which in green, I will always try to run a Demigray unison because Charismatic Villain and Dormant are just too good not to run. And in blue, like, I will try to get away with, you know, maybe throwing a baby unison, or I'm really enjoying the Raditz unison from the Giant Force Raditz just to be able to run God Sealing Technique. But I don't really like unisons all that much, and I think going into this next set with Spirit Boost, I'm gonna have to kind of form myself into liking unisons just to be able to pull off some Spirit Boost stuff. But I did want to comment on Fluff. You were talking about how people tend to remove or been attacking into unisons a lot lately. I think it's good habit now to focus down on unisons with Spirit Boost, and we'll see the strength of Spirit Boost and see if that's warranted to deal with unisons as heavily.
It was like I just noticed it at nearly every moment. I boarded this Boo, and I think in hindsight, I really just regret boarding this Boo. I don't think boarding this Boo was the correct play. I can't remember what was in my hand, but I had a fair sized hand that I could have used to defend more applicably with.
I know. Actually, I think I know why you in the end didn't like playing this Boo, and it's because what you got off the Boo draw. You had the 5-drop freeze in your hand, if I'm correct, but
you
didn't have a way of playing it, so you played Boo. I think you were also trying to bait a negate out of me off your looter swing. And
probably.
And that's why I said I have to combo out of this, because he could play double strikes. I know you play a lot of double strikes.
I think I had an ape in hand. And I was considering playing the ape.
Yeah.
And I was like, if Bancroft negates one of these swings, I'll just put an ape out. And you ended up not negating, and what happened was I just put you at 1.
Yeah.
And I basically just fed your hand. But that was kind of a calculated risk that I had to make. And I don't have the worst hand in the world. I think it's got a couple D magics in it. It might have a heroic. I honestly don't remember, and I don't think I flashed my hand as much in this game. Like I said, my head wasn't as much in this game, and that's something to be said for like the past few weeks have been like. I think last week I went 0-3 at locals, and I think the week before that I did particularly poorly at locals, and then I'm just not feeling confident the way that I usually am as a player. And that just kind of goes to show like how much I think you can beat yourself at this game. Like if you don't feel like you're doing well, or suddenly you slip and you stop performing well as a player, it's like, okay, what happened? Am I a bad player? What is going on here? And you start to kind of second guess what is going on all the way around.
And it didn't help, I think. Like you mentioned, you fed my hand more. You gave me extra resources to go off of. And I already had a wide enough board, and I haven't paid anything yet. I'm just able to swing everything I have on the board and just combo it up here and there, forcing you to get rid of cards in your hand just to my mind's going blank. I'm giving you the ability to thin your hand out so that when I go to play cards, I feel a little bit safer.
Honestly, like one thing that I saw that I did that is just a mistake, and I think it's a product of like the type of decks that I've been playing recently that have to play a little bit more aggressively as opposed to a little bit more control-y, was I put the Ultra Instinct Kamehameha on the lead, and then I also followed it up with Senzu Bean. Looking at it in hindsight, that Senzu Bean 100% should have get held for this turn.
Yeah, no, that would have helped out a lot, and it would have forced me to have to do a little bit differently in my plays. So here I'm using the leader's ability for 1 energy, giving 2 of my Chilled Army cards plus 5,000 and Revenge. I'm just swinging with them. They're 15k beaters now.
This is the type of thing where, again, we have the benefit of reviewing our games in hindsight and kind of seeing the things that we did in mistake. And I really do think playing that Senzu Bean and trying to be greedy in that bait of the ape was a huge misplay. I should have just passed and just been prepared to be defensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of my cards in hand at this point were counterplays. So the problem is I'm having to use those counterplays I could have negated with that Vegeta there.
Yeah.
And then do you stop attacking? But at that point, like I should have comboed with that. I should have used that Vegeta much earlier. The problem is that I'm holding the ape in my hand to counterplay something.
Yeah.
And I'm so like tunnel visioned on that play that I'm not catching. Had I just started the turn off with Vegeta, you couldn't have made all those attacks with the tokens. You would have lost all your energy.
After your second negate, you had 4 energy, allowing yourself to do that. And here, I know you still have 5 energy, so I'm like, oh, cool. I'm just going to play Demigod then, and I'm going to continue pushing there. But I think we just recently figured out, or I saw some people talking about it, technically playing a unison does open a counterplay window.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been worth playing the ape,
Yeah. The ape would have set, a token back?
Yeah.
Or, like, I mean, and not worth the cake. Like, I just comboed the ape off there. I realized at this point you're not going to play anything.
Well, you had the combo off you comboed off the Frieza to stop the attack, so you went down to 5 energy. That's why I played a card and was able to do that.
And that really came down to, like, I feel like had I kept the Senzu Bean for this turn, it changes a lot.
Yeah, it would definitely affect it a lot there, especially if you had Senzu Bean and then followed it up with the Vegeta negate once you had access to it. I would have had to have just passed, and just hope that I could hold off. I think I remember going in that match when I did the double super combo. I finally was seeing my dormant potentials. But I was
Yeah,
like, I
and
have
I'm-
to push. Like, if I don't push, you have a chance of going up to 8 energy. I think 8 to play your secret. Oh wait, but yeah, I got mixed up. You don't play Goku. Never mind. I think I was afraid of that though.
Yeah, I don't play Goku Oob in this variant, which again is something that I'm very comfortable doing. But I was playing a different style of the deck, and like I can't make excuses for the loss in any kind of way. Like it's just I obviously made a miscalculation during that turn and just got too greedy, and you just didn't bite. Which you are, as a player, very good about doing, about not taking that extra little. You saw that I was keeping 5 energy open. You were like, there's an ape there. I'm not going to combo unless I'm in threat of die.
So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you definitely enjoyed that matchup as much as Fluff did. Keep in mind, while Fluff does the outro, there's buttons on the screen. Feel free to click them.
It was cool to relive your failures, but what can I say? It is what it is. Alas, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. You saw what I did. Fluff out.